Hi, welcome back to Chrome Movies Recap, and today I'm going to tell you about a 2012 movie called Badass. If you like our video, you can support us by liking and subscribing. It takes only a few seconds for you, but for us, it's a huge step towards our goal. Frank Vega is an embellished veteran from the Vietnam War, however existence hasn't been clean for him. While he become off combating for his country, his female friend went in advance and married a person else, and that they even had children together. Poor Frank could not discover a task anywhere, so he ended up promoting warm puppies simply to get via way of means of. But then, a warm canine van got here alongside and stole all his customers. From that factor on, Frank had become a drifter, shifting round with none actual direction. But then, something thrilling happened. One day, Frank witnessed skinhead thugs harassing and seeking to damage a vintage guy on a bus. He could not stand via way of means of and watch that happen, so he stepped in and beat up the one's thugs. Luckily, a person recorded the entirety and uploaded it to YouTube. Frank had become an on the spontaneous net sensation, and those began out calling him badass. Everyone celebrated him, making t-shirts and graffiti with his face on them. The police even gave him ride-alongs, and he ended up acting on talk shows. It become pretty the turnaround for Frank. Either way, shout out to Bob Adamson and Brad Christensen for his or her aid throughout that time. 3 months later, Frank's mother, Juanita, alas passed away. In her will, she left him her residence in Canine. Now, Frank had a great pal named Klondike Washington, who became additionally a Vietnam vet. Klondike moved in with Frank and entrusted him with a USB flash power that belonged to his overdue mother. It became intended to be saved in a secure deposit box. However, tragedy struck while Klondike went out one night time to shop for cigarettes and become brutally murdered via way of means of thugs in a darkish alley. Frank became devastated via way of means of the lack of his pal. During this tough time, Frank encountered a boy named Martin who lived round the corner together along with his mother, Amber Lamps, and his abusive father, Martin Sr. Officer Millark confident Frank that the police had been doing their great to discover the men chargeable for Klondike's homicide. However, Frank began out to doubt their efforts while he noticed on the information that they'd solved a distinctive homicide in a miles shorter time. It appeared like they were not prioritizing Klondike's case. Frustrated with the dearth of progress, Frank took it upon himself to remedy the mystery. He started out investigating the alley wherein Klondike became killed and observed a spent cartridge casing and a pendant with a woman's photograph inside. Frank took those gadgets to a pawn shop, wherein the proprietor knowledgeable him that they belonged to a guy named Terrence, whose spouse's photograph became on the pendant. Frank backed the pendant to Terrence's spouse and requested approximately Terrence's whereabouts. She found out that he hadn't been domestic for a week. According to a pal, Terrence had been spotted gambling basketball together along with his buddies at a park. Frank faced and fought a number of Terrence's buddies, who in the end knowledgeable him that a guy named Ronaldo would possibly recognize wherein Terrence become. Frank then went to Ronaldo's condominium and met his roommate, who disclosed that Ronaldo become at a bar throughout town. Frank encountered resistance at the bar from a few consumers who attempted to kick him out, however he controlled to discover Ronaldo and extract data from him. Ronaldo found out that Terrence become spending time together along with his female friend. Frank placed the female friend running at a rub-down parlor, however she wasn't cooperative. Determined to get answers, Frank accompanied her after her shift and broke into her residence. There, he determined Terrence and tortured him to expose data approximately the person that ordered Klondike's homicide. Frank compelled Terrence's hand into the kitchen's rubbish disposal. Terrence disclosed that Klondike become killed via way of means of a drug lord named Panther. The reason in the back of the homicide became the USB flash power that Klondike possessed, which contained information about a mystery assignment involving oil wells within inside the neighborhood. This assignment became being performed on behalf of Mayor Williams. Before confronting Panther, Frank took it upon himself to guard Amber and Martin from their abusive husband and father, Martin Sr. He have become their dependent on pal with inside the neighborhood. During this time, Amber invited Frank over for a domestic cooked meal, and he made an attempt to get dressed up for the occasion. While they had been sharing dinner, Frank requested Amber if he should hold a matchbook from her as a memento, and she or he kindly gave it to him. Just as matters had been getting intimate among Frank and Amber, Martin Jr. walked in on them, interrupting the moment. They kept away from kissing and determined it become great to hold their distance for the time being. Frank insisted that Amber and Martin live at his area till he should restoration near the front door, making sure their protection and providing them with brief shelter. The following day, Frank arms over the flash power to Officer Millark and locates Panther at his mystery hideout. However, he's swiftly knocked unconscious, captured, and subjected to torture so as to expose the Flash Power's whereabouts. They hire an electrocution device to surprise him repeatedly, paying homage to his reports in Vietnam. Despite the pain, Frank adamantly refuses to give up the Flash Power. Panther seizes Frank's wallet, discovers his address, and suspects that Frank is concealing now no longer best the Flash Power, however, additionally a cherished one at his domestic. This notion arises from Frank's continual denial that there is something to discover. Panther leaves his henchmen to retain tormenting Frank. Yet, Frank manages to interrupt loose from his restraints and, the usage of a lit matchbook he obtained from Amber, ignites a few oil drums within the room. This units the constructing a blaze, main to explosions. While Panther escapes, Frank offers chase. Both of them capture buses and interact in an unfavorable pursuit, causing widespread harm to different cars along the way, in the long run demolishing each buses. During the pursuit, Frank encounters the two skinhead thugs whom he had formerly defeated at the bus. Seeking to repair their pride, the thugs try and movie themselves, assaulting Frank the use of their mobile phones. However, Frank overpowers them all over again and resumes his pursuit of the Panther. Panther arrives at Frank's house, in which he finds Amber, and threatens to damage her until she hands over the flash drive. Fortunately, Frank arrives simply in time to intervene. Their confrontation spills into the front yard. Just as Panther is approximately to assault Frank, as soon as Amber jumps on Panther's back, momentarily slowing him down and permitting Frank to upward thrust to his feet. Frank pummels Panther relentlessly till he becomes incapacitated. Panther is ultimately arrested, and the information exposes Mayor Williams' connection to Panther's scandal, ensuing with inside the mayor's arrest as well. In reputation of his bravery, Frank Vega gets an award from the police. Frank, Amber, and Martin move directly to stay fortunately ever after. That's all from the video. Thanks for your time. Please subscribe for more video like this and take care.